as well. Hello, everybody. We are live today. We are going to do a market update, and then I'm going to do a question and answer. So throw where you're from in the chat box, and make sure to put where you're from right now, and then put your questions in there. What I'm going to do is give you a market update as people are getting on. If you're watching the recording, what I'm going to do for the next 20, 30 minutes to just answer questions and give you my thoughts on the market. I do this once a week. I missed last week because I was on vacation. But if you're logging on those platforms, make sure that you are sharing this live and letting me know where you're from in the comment box and putting your questions. So let you know where you're from. Make sure to like, share, and comment this. That lets the algorithm know that I am not up here explaining things that you don't care about. Hopefully you do care. So thank you for the heart. I saw that. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube, make sure to share this live and comment where you're from, and make sure to like this. That really, really helps. Down here, we got TikTok. So you can stay here on TikTok, or you can go over to my YouTube. That's where I'm going to be interacting and asking questions. So market update. The market is hot. It's been hot for a while, and it continues to stay hot. We just went over some reasons why. It's me, TikTok JT. What is up, Alan? Glad you are here. Just subscribe from TikTok. Preston, thank you for being here. From Alabama, nice. This is my brother's account. Well, great. Well, after this live, go mess with your brother. Go message a bunch of people and write a bunch of weird comments on there on other people's videos just to mess with your brother. I'm kidding. Don't do that. So anyways, like I said, make sure to share this live if you are wanting anybody else to ask questions or interact. What I want to do is to I think that I want to answer questions and give you guys a market update. How you think is a good time to buy a house? That's a great question. I'm going to get to that momentarily. So throw all your questions in the chat update. So the market's hot right now. It's hot for a lot of reasons. We talk about this every single week, but supply, demand are out of whack right now, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. So the market's hot, and I don't really see it changing. A quick update with what we got going on. We got our storage facility. I'm going to do a case study video on YouTube and probably maybe one of these lives about our storage facility. So we have a storage facility that we're building that we built. We're almost done with up north of where I live. We bought it. Has 66 existing units that we refurbished and rehabbed, and we're building an additional 100 units. So we're almost done with that construction. So if you follow my Instagram, I've been posting about it, so you caught up there. But if you're not, make sure you're on subscribe to my YouTube and my TikTok and my YouTube as well. So make sure you're following me on all those platforms. Throw your questions in the chat box and let me know where you're from. We'll let a few more people log on because I just went live a couple minutes ago. And then we will answer some questions. So let's get some questions going. Alante says, how old are you? I am 33. How old are you? I am good, and I'm 33. So let's get to some questions. JG, do you think it's a good time to buy a house? Again, let me know where you're from, and like this video if you have not, if you're on Facebook or YouTube. I don't know which ones we see at the likes. I see 2 hearts. I don't know if that's Facebook or YouTube. I think that's Facebook, but like it if you're on either platform. Hi, do you think it's a good time to buy a house? Yes, I do. I think the market's hot, and it's going to continue to get hotter. So if you buy a house for $200,000 today, there's a good chance it's going to be worth $210,000, $215,000 at the end of the year. So you're going to have some equity there. People are going to wait for the crash. A lot of people are saying they're going to wait for the crash to buy, and that is up to you if that's your strategy. But what if the crash doesn't come for 3 years? You missed out on 3 years of potential growth and 3 years of potential learning and buying, as well as what if the crash never comes? What if 2008 only happened once in the history of the United States of America, and it doesn't happen again for another 100 years? And in 2025, there is a 5% decrease in prices, or a 10% decrease in prices over 12 months, which is probably what's going to happen. So you missed out on a ton of opportunities to buy. I personally am continuing to buy right now. I don't see a big crash anytime soon. Like I said, 12, 24 months, maybe a softening, but not a crash. There's just no data to support a crash besides people think that it's cyclical, and it's just not. Minneapolis, nice. Where else is everybody from on there? Keep the questions coming. How do you convince a hard money lender to trust you? Great question, David. So the question is talking about hard money lenders, which hard money lenders are people that lend you money to buy and fix up houses. Why? Because there's a need for that. The only way that you're most likely going to buy a house that is in distress and fix up that house is through a private lender or a hard money lender. Banks, even the good banks to work with for investors want nothing to do with houses that need work. They will loan you money at great terms on a house that you live in or that is rented. Bank of America, Commerce Banks, they won't even lend on rental properties for the most part. You have to go to these small local banks. They'll lend on you, but it's got to be rented and producing income. As far as fixing it up and buying it, that's where hard money or private money comes into play. So just a little background. And how do you convince hard money lenders to trust you? So hard money lenders, again, if you're just tuning in, make sure to give this video a like if you're on YouTube or Facebook. I would really appreciate that. We got a TikTok down here. So stay here on TikTok or head up to YouTube if you want me to answer your questions. I'm only going to answer questions on YouTube. So anyways, how you convince them is it mainly based on the deal. So they're going to want to see some other things, but if you bring them a smoking hot deal, if you can buy a house for $100,000 that needs $20,000 worth of work that's worth $225,000, they're very likely to lend on that because they don't want to take the house back. There's not much risk in that house. So that's A, they really heavily equate the quality of the deal, whether they're going to lend or not. And they also help you analyze the deal, which is awesome. The other thing is just having a decent history and having a decent income. Most hard money lenders are background check and credit check. Not all, but most of them will check your background and will check your credit. But some won't. They're usually a little higher rates. But again, to trust you just by being professional, having a business plan, hopefully having some income coming in from your business and from a personal job if you have a personal job, having a little bit of checkings or savings account. You don't have a ton of money. They're not always going to make you access it, but at least having it in there is going to let them more likely to lend you the money. So there's answer to that great question. Keep the questions coming. Alex, if we are new to real estate, what is the best branch to start real estate? Is Houston, Texas. Texas is a great place to start. Any market you can make money in real estate. So it really just depends on what you want to do. Tough to buy rentals in California, but guess what? It's a great market to flip and wholesale. There's not one market in the U.S. that you can't make money in real estate. Just depends which strategy is best for that specific market. So you can definitely start, and Houston's a great area to start. It's a hot market, but everywhere is hot right now. Where should you start? It depends on your short-term, your short-term cash that you have or need and your long-term goals. If your long-term goals are, I want to own 100 single-family houses, well, start out buying rental single-family houses. If you want to make 50 grand this year, probably start wholesaling or flipping. So it really depends on what your immediate needs are and what your long-term goals are. So just mirror those two up. If you don't know anything that you want, I think it's probably a good idea to start with a house and start with a wholesale. Wholesaling is buying or getting property under contract and selling it, usually without closing. There's not a ton of risk in there. You'll start to learn from people, but I didn't wholesale until I probably had 10 rentals, so you don't have to start out that way. How do you flip houses out of state? So I don't do it. I don't mind giving you some thoughts on it, but I'm never going to talk on things that I don't know or don't understand. I'm never going to give advice on something that I don't do or hardcore advice at least. How you flip house out of state, it can be done, and it's done a lot. You need to have boots on the ground that you trust if they're going to be evaluating the property, you're going to be closing on it and rehabbing it. If you're just wholesaling, you can do a lot of that virtually, with getting the house under contract and selling it to local investors, by finding them through the Facebook groups and virtual meetups and such. But you just need to have a good system and processes where you are and have boots on the ground that you trust. Even if you're not closing, you're going to need to have somebody that you're going to sell the house to. So just utilize technology, utilize local Facebook groups and the meetups in the towns that you're wanting to be a part of and get to know the investors there. And if you bring them a good deal, they will gladly go look at it. All right. Try to keep the questions going. I'm a little behind on questions, but not a ton. So keep them coming. What do you think about, keep the questions coming. What do you think about Sheboygan, Wisconsin? I'd love to say Sheboygan, Wisconsin, but I don't know a ton about it. So we're trying to get there. So I don't know a ton about it. But I think it's probably a good market. There's any market's really hot right now. The supply and demand are so crazy. So North Dakota, nice. Houston, nice. Virginia. All right, keep the questions coming. Did you ever allow pets? I think the question, yes, I have pets, but we do allow pets on our property. Some people don't, but we do. All right, Preston's got some situation he's trying to explain. He's been patient. Keep the comments coming. I've got a situation trying to explain. My home is current residence. My spouse lives in with me and my daughter. We rent out her home out. We want to rent mine out and move into another, but don't have enough down payment. All right. So there's a lot of things you can do. You can tap into equity of either house that you have, or you can use a we'll move another house, or so you want to have it be a personal house. So you can tap into the equity there in your rentals, or you can wholesale or flip and, make another quick 20, 30, 50 grand a couple times and do it. There's a lot of ways to make short, quick money in real estate with limited risk, or you can do the long-term rentals. I love that you're going rentals. Preston, go to the link that I got going across the bottom, or hit me up on Instagram. I'll send you my free training. If there's a link on here to get my free training, I'll send you that as well. But there's definitely options you have. Check out my YouTube if you haven't checked out some of the videos on that can help a lot. Kyle, thanks for the question, my friend. I see you're on Facebook. With interest rates so low at the moment, how can property owners protect themselves from the inevitable rate increase? So great question. So if you own a property, more than likely you have it locked in for several years. If it's your personal residence, it's probably locked in for 30 years. So if the interest rate goes up, that doesn't mean anything. If you got locked in at 3 for the next 30 years, if it goes up to 10, doesn't matter to you. It's usually not a variable. The rate doesn't change with residential loans. If it's a commercial loan, there's sometimes 3 or 5 year arms, and interest rates are going to go up, but it might take a few years. How you adjust for that is by, charging a little more rent, being a little more efficient at your maintenance. So there's a lot of different ways you can combat the eventual rate increase. Keep the questions coming. How do you find a hard money lender? Super easy to find. Just Google hard money lenders near me. That may sound simple, but it's true. Just Google hard money lenders near me, or look them up on your local Facebook groups, or go to your local real estate investing meetups, and there you will meet people that are hard money lenders or that know hard money lenders. Hard money lenders are super easy to find. Private lenders are the ones that are a little bit harder. If you're just logging on or joining, make sure to give this video a like if you're on YouTube, or if you're on Facebook, give this video a like. That's where I'm communicating. If you're wondering who's here, TikTok's here. If you want me to answer your question, head to my YouTube and subscribe and ask the question there. All right, what other questions do we have? Keep them coming. Neek. Hi, I live in New York City. How should I go about getting hard money lender here? Most of them homes are so high. So yeah, I'm a hard money lender. They lend local usually. So they understand the market and the high prices. Most hard money lenders aren't scared of a certain price point as long as you're getting a discount. If it's an $800,000 house or condo or apartment, and you're getting it for $600,000, doesn't need a ton of work, they're not going to be probably super worried about those numbers as long as it's a good deal, if that makes sense. But keep the questions coming. I am about 7 minutes behind on questions. So if you ask a question the last couple minutes, I haven't got to it, I will get to it, I promise. I already answered this one. I skipped a little on that one. So, and Sheboygan. What's going on, Trey? I'm here from Texas. My question is, do you use one entity to purchase a property and completely different entity to rehab? That's a great question. So if you're rehabbing it to keep it as a rental, then we use the same entity. We buy it in one entity, fix it up, and then refinance in that same entity. However, if you're going to hold rentals and you're going to flip and sell, we have separate entities for that. So if you're going to buy a house, fix it up, and sell it, that's taxed differently. The accounting is a little bit different. So we have a different LLC that flips all our houses, buy and sell. And we have another entity that holds our rentals. Great question. Hopefully explain that right. But in our rental entity, if we're rehabbing it before we refinance and rent it, we keep it in that same entity the whole time. Let me know if that answers your question. I appreciate all these questions. My name is Louis from Philly, looking to buy my first investment property in Tampa or somewhere similar. How would you suggest I buy a duplex? I think duplex is a great way to do that. A duplex is a two-family, so two different sides. I think that's a great plan because you get, double the rent. The building is going to cost a little bit more, but usually not double what a house would cost. So I think that's a great thought. You just go about it, make sure there's a ton of real estate investors in Tampa, so get to know all the best investors in town there, and just really try to get to know them really well, and then also reach out to them via the Facebook groups. And if you're ever in town, go to those local meetups. I think it's a great plan. Investing virtually is a little bit harder, but Philly's a great market as well. It's not overpriced for rentals, especially in the outskirts. So I don't think you have to do Tampa. You can if you have a reason for that, but Philly's a great market as well. Getting caught up a little bit on questions. All right, keep the questions. Hi, TikTok. I am answering questions on YouTube. Thank you for the gift, boss. All right, should I approach a distressed landlord to create a financial deal? Texas, yes. So creative financial. So there's a landlord that potentially a lot of them out there are distressed because they don't treat their tenants that well. And COVID happened and people weren't paying tenants and the government and all that craziness. However, if you treat your tenants well, you probably not have that many issues. We are collecting 99% of our rent still and have been doing that throughout this entire last year and a half because we treat our tenants fair. And they understand that obviously they're going to have to eventually pay rent, and we communicate with them. So just so you know, not all landlords are distressed. I think that's great. He's talking about going to a landlord that probably has their tenants behind or just, not making as much money as they thought, and getting creative. If you don't have any money, you can use the BRRRR method, borrow other people's money, which I talk a lot about on this YouTube channel. And you can also, get creative with the seller. They can seller finance. They can become the bank. They can, you can owe them the monthly payment over the next 20 years and, with a certain payoff early option if you want. So you can get creative with the sellers for sure. What is the best strategy in Houston? Houston works for anything, especially in the outskirts. You can rent out there, but wholesaling and flipping is great down in Texas. The laws and the taxes are pretty beneficial for investors in general and real estate investors. Keep the questions coming. I've got to get caught back up. That scrolls at the bottom. That's annoying. Here, keep the questions coming, everybody. When wholesaling and looking for a buyer, is it safe to give out the property address? Yes and no. It depends on who you're giving out, who you're giving it out to. Thank you again for the gifts, Boss Kimberly. When you're, depends on who it is, who you're giving out to. I wouldn't blast an address to a Facebook group because there's a lot of D bags. Best way to say it on there. But you can, if you trust the person, I would tell them where the house is and the specs on it and even pictures, then have them DM you for the address. And then once you do get to know them a little bit better, then send the address. Because if you just put it out there, they might try and go contact the owner, steal it from you. So yeah, so I think it really just kind of depends on the situation. Would it be better to invest in homes or duplex buildings for rentals? I think either one. I don't think you have to pick one or the other. Just don't be closed-minded. Say you'll do either, and then whichever great deal presents itself first, take advantage of that deal, in my opinion. Roll through questions now. I've heard it is better to make bigger payments in second month of a mortgage than the initial down payment. Any idea? I don't know anything about that. With interest rates being so low, I would not do anything really much about making extra payments. I mean, you can, but if you're getting a loan at 3%, ride that baby out. Use that money that you're going to put down to put 20% down on something, or to, fund a rehab because you're using a hard money lender and they don't want to lend the rehab funds, or to whatever. Put it in crypto, whatever you want to do. I would use that money for something else if you're getting a low interest rate. Mackenzie, you're from Springfield. Nice. I went to school in Springfield, Missouri. Looking to in real estate investing. Any tips in my area? Yeah, Springfield's a great market for it. It's a good size. I think it's like 500,000-600,000 metro area. So it's a smaller town, but not small enough to not make a lot of money in real estate. I know a lot of real estate investors down there. So there's some local meetups. Go to those. There's one at Kansas City that's good. So yeah, I think just getting to know local people in your market, and Springfield's a great market for cash flow and some decent appreciation. Well, it's kind of a hidden gem that didn't really get hurt too much by the last crash. Does anyone need a realtor in Missouri? There you go, Tanya. Get it. Up here, she's up here pimping her real estate services. I love it. How do I finance a BRRRR? First off, there's an S at the end. Well, I mean, there's not. I made that one up. A buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and scale. You're going to do the buy and the rehab page, or buy, rehab, rent, refinance, scale. The buy and rehab are going to be from a private lender or hard money lender. Then you're going to get it rented. Then you're going to take it to a small local bank, and they will do a 80% cash out refinance. They're going to send an appraiser. They need to know the value of the property because you're not selling it. So the appraiser is going to tell them that. Then they'll write you a check for 80% of that. Kind of confusing, but you take that money and pay back your initial hard or private money lender. And then now you have a loan on the property. So I talk about that way better, well explained. It's good English too, on this channel. A ton of videos on that as my Instagram and my TikTok, as my YouTube as well. All right, Tip Top Properties. Hello, Sam. How should I approach a distressed landlord with attractive creative financing deal that we both benefit? Texas, a lot of people from Texas down here. I love it. Just see what they ask them, what they want. Ask them. I would not give them interest at first. I would say, what if I pay you $1,000 a month until it's paid off, If that works for you, make sure it works for you. And they'll be like, oh, well, what's interest rate? Well, how much do you want to make? I would put the ball in their court every time. And get creative as you can. You don't need to make a killing on it, but a lot of times it can be beneficial for both. You explain to them they're going to pay less taxes if they're, if you're paying it off over time, as opposed to getting a big lump sum. Biden's 1031 tax exchange, 500K gap. I haven't heard exactly. I know a lot of things are being proposed. I'd be surprised. I said from day one, I don't think 1031 will go away. I could see it being capped. I don't think it'll go away, but yeah, that definitely could happen. I haven't seen the latest on that. Thanks for answering my first question. Second question, why are the benefits of Faster Funds lending versus? Oh, so he's talking local. So Faster Funds is just, they got the best rates in town, I'm pretty sure. And they help you underwrite the deal. They're going to go look at it. If it's a bad deal, they won't loan on it. Then don't do it because it's a bad deal, because they look at thousands of deals. So they're just advantage. They're easy to work with and the lowest rates. And they're like a partner. They help you analyze the deal. How much money you need to buy 10 apartment buildings, and how do I plan to start the process to get or find the money from the banks or private lenders? It really depends. I mean, you can buy 10 apartment buildings for $10 million. You can buy 10 apartment buildings for $100 million. So you just need to know what you're looking for and start to create some funds with people from banks or private lenders, or start a fund with accredited investors that you need a lawyer and everything to do all that. Do you have any advice on any books to learn real estate and wholesaling? The best thing to do is subscribe to my YouTube, my TikTok, and my Instagram. For sure, that is 100% the best thing to do. Subscribe to those platforms, and then Bigger Pockets and my buddy Ryan Pineda and Kong and all those people. Get as much free knowledge as you can with all this technology out there. But then the book aspect is more of just, I like mindset books and business books and entrepreneur books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich. All those type of books are what I like. I get my active real estate knowledge from doing it, teaching it, and then from like podcasts and YouTube channels. Doing wholesale real estate down in Florida, but I'm having trouble finding cash buyers. Yeah, you shouldn't have any trouble finding cash buyers right now. There's so much cash on the sideline. Israel, I don't want to tell you or act like I know. I would assume maybe you're buying too high. It's super easy to find cash buyers. Look them up on local Facebook groups, the meetups, posting. If it's a good deal, you post on your personal page on Facebook. If you have a decent amount of friends, it'll get sold. So I'm not saying you're buying too high, but I don't know anybody that's having trouble finding buyers. Everyone's having trouble finding deals. JG, if the house sold for less than $250,000, you won't receive 1031 tax. Is that good or bad? What's the difference? You won't receive 1031 tax. I don't understand what you're saying. Sorry. Noel, he's a hard money loan in a different state. If the hard money lender, go to the link in my bio or go to Fund That Flip and use our code. There are some national hard money lenders, but most are local and they'll only go lend local. But check out Baldwin County, Alabama, close to the beach. I can use a partner. I like that. In the meantime, I'll sign up. Yeah, go. I like it. Well, Preston, definitely head to FasterFreedom.com/RER. I got there, and head to see if I can get the free training link down there if I have it somewhere. Yeah, head to this for sure. This is free training. I give it away every once in a while. It's an 85-minute webinar and information on our mentorship too, for sure. Thank you. I'll look into Baldwin County. I talked with a hard money lender and he said I would have to pay for rehab. I would like to use OPM. I may have reworded it incorrectly. What's the best way? Okay, so hard money lenders, some of them will, Clayton, good for you. Some of them will, get that, Matt. Some of them will lend. I love that you're interested in learning is what I'm trying to say. But you worded everything perfectly. But if you want to use other people's money, you're probably going to need a private money lender or a to do the rest of that financing, because a lot of hard money lenders will only lend purchase. Some of them won't lend the entire purchase. Like Faster Funds in St. Louis and other really good ones will lend purchase plus rehab as long as you're bought at enough of a discount. However, some hard money lenders will not do that. So if you need to come up with that gap, either the rest of the purchase and the rehab or just the rehab, you got to get creative. Find a private money lender, use your own cash if you have it, because you're going to get it back when you refinance or sell. You're only going to be out a few months. You can use a line of credit on your house. There's a ton of different options you have to make that work. There's no explaining it to them. Some of them just have hard and fast rules, and some of them don't. So anyways, thanks for going live with me. I go live every single Wednesday at usually 2, but we went live at 1 today. So really kind of just depends, around 1 or 2. So if you're subscribed to my YouTube, thank you. Hit that notification bell so you get notified when I go live. If you'd like to answer questions, I go live on Instagram and TikTok as well. So make sure you follow me on all 3 platforms. My free training can be found there at the bottom, freerentalwebinar.com. So definitely head there and then hit me up on Instagram if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, you crazy mofos. Have a good rest of your day.